Well, of course, it would have been the Daiwa Forster round of the Costa Brim Series this weekend, and this man is dangerous on any arena in Australia, but in particular, you grew up fishing this joint, Kris Hickson. What are we missing out on this weekend? How good would a Forster played up for us?
I reckon we're missing out on a whole lot. A couple of weeks ago, I haven't fished it, but I know Babs went out there a couple of weeks ago and said it wasn't that flash. And leading up to now, it hadn't been that great. The brim was still out in the lake. There was a few on the headlands. There was a few sort of scattered around up the rivers, but they really hadn't moved down the front. And that last westerly that blew a weekend ago, and then this big sea has pretty much just concentrated them all at the bottom end of the system. And apparently they're chewing their heads off. So, and some really good fish, not just brim, but bulk amounts of tarwine down there, and really good tarwine. I know Jack, Dim and Bobo Starton were out there on the weekend and got a couple of clunking tarwine. So I think you would have found the first event that they really were going to make a difference.
Man, that's it's a real shame, isn't it? And explain to the viewers that don't know how Forster works, explain what happens with those ocean-going brim coming in, mixing with the lake fish. Like, tell us how the system fires.
So generally speaking, around that May, June period, normally it happens in May. The mullet run out in April. The brim are generally a bit behind them. The food moves out of the lake. The water cools down. The water clears up the rivers and cools down. And those brim get the urge to come downstream and spawn. And if you get that to coincide with maybe a big sea, the brim that are on the headlands and the beaches, not comfortable in the wash, a bit too big for them like we just had on the weekend, they get pushed into the system. That literally concentrates pretty much every brim in that place in the first 5 kilometres of the river or of the system. So not awesome as a tournament circumstance because there's probably a lot of boats concentrated, but the fishing would have been off tap when you found them. So it's like that, and that's pretty much the reason I know we penciled this tournament in for that time of year, because it was going to be good. I think the tide's pretty good too. The low tide building is always a good tide for Forster. So, yeah, I think we're definitely missing out, but that's all right. We might go out on the weekend and have a look anyway.
Mate, that's right. Anyone in New South Wales, is it this weekend when you're encouraged to roam more broadly than your local area to fish? So if New South Welshmen want to come and have a fish at Forster, is it game on?
Yeah, 1st of June, we're officially allowed to sort of holiday and move around. So if you want to see what you could have or what could have been at Forster this weekend, I think it's the one to do it. The date, I think it starts on the 1st, whatever day that is. So you might even just make it in this weekend.
So it's the 1st is actually on the Monday. So it's the Monday's the day. I think it must be.
There you go.
Systems go.
We're allowed to travel as it is anyway to a certain point. So if you want to do a day trip up there, then I think you're more than entitled to. I think it'll definitely be worth it. Definitely be worth a look.
Awesome, mate. Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about how you're a big ABT supporter through the business Manning River Marine, and of course your sponsors Mercury, Daiwa, all on board as well. How's Manning River Marine done through the COVID crisis? Rumor has it it's better than expected.
My light just went out. Oh, well, you can still see me?
We can still see you, mate. Yeah, we're good.
That's all good. I had a disco in here for a minute. We've been flat out, to be honest. It's been crazy. We're probably in a really lucky industry in the marine and tackle industry that, being in New South Wales, we were allowed to still go fishing. The first couple of weeks of COVID were pretty daunting. We weren't quite sure where we were at. We weren't quite sure whether we were going to stay open. We didn't know what we were allowed to do. As soon as the government put the restrictions in place and told us exactly what we were and weren't allowed to do, it was open doors. We got a letter in the mail saying that we're an essential service. We service SES boats. We deal with roads and maritime. We're good to stay open. And once people knew that they were allowed to go fishing, we were ridiculously busy. It's been probably the busiest month we have ever had. Christmas, no Christmas. It's been off the charts. So not just tackle, marine electronics, servicing, engines, and now that another engine manufacturer's said see you later, we're getting even busier.
Well, tell us about that, mate. That was the news that dropped only on Thursday this week. So tell us about the withdrawal of Evinrude from the upward market.
Yeah, it was news to us this morning. The old man he had a conference call with Mercury booked in this morning, and they got a call at about 8:05 saying that BRP's quit making Evinrude and outboard engines, and they're looking to all their other avenues. So it was a massive surprise. We got a press release via email, spread that like wildfire. Great news for us as a Mercury dealer and a Mercury lover. Probably not the best news for the industry, because it's never good to see a good player like that disappear, especially one as long-standing as Evinrude has been. Even though they disappeared back in 2000, they came back with a bit of force since then, and we're really pioneering the better two-stroke engines. But it is what it is, and we'll definitely take up the slack. So at least we know the ones that people want now, because it's the ones still around.
Well, the press release I read, it's said that one of the things BRP was doing was concentrating on its boat brands, and they've signed a deal with Mercury to do OEM motors for the back of the Evinrude boat brand. So instead of leaving their own boat brands in the lurch, they've partnered with Mercury, who is nearly a next door neighbour to them up in the north of the USA, up in Wisconsin. They're both in the same state, and hey, there's going to be a lot of boats that would have been supplied with Evinrude are now Mercury factory fitted. So, it's good technology. As far as the four-stroke go, that Mercury technology, it's the latest big block four-stroke technology. We both run those motors, and it's going to be nice to see some people who were previously running Evinrudes maybe enjoying that.
Yeah, it really is unrivaled at the moment with with new technology. Even from the 115 up, it's something else, and it'll be good to see some guys that probably would never have jumped into a Mercury get in, have those engines, and give some thoughts on it in comparison to what they had, because you don't get that crossover too often. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in Australia with Telwater being the Evinrude distributor, and whether they roll over and stick Mercuries on their boats, which they have done in the past.
It's going to happen. Yep.
I was going to say, I'd assume that's where it's going to lead to. And as far as the dealer network for that and the Mercury dealer network, it's going to be an interesting time, but it is what it is. And the more Mercs out there, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So,
well, we know through our ABT statistics that it's around, 60 to 65 to 70% of our anglers use Mercs anyway. They all take advantage of the Mercury owners bonus in the BREAM. Like they like that.
Yeah, that's going to get harder.
Yeah, I know. Of course it will, mate. But, that Mercury Cup, it's a coveted title. You've got your name on it a few times. Jamie McEwen's got it now. And it's just good to see that Mercury's played the long game when it comes to ABT sponsorship. They've been there for – I don't remember a time when Mercury wasn't there. And I think it's just great when people are buying a motor. It's like, a lot of motors work well. A lot of motors have good warranties. A lot of them choose the one that gives them an extra bit of cash in the pocket when it comes to an ABT tournament, and it's an ABT sponsor. So it's great to see the whole cohort of anglers behaving like that.
And as a Merc tournament angler, I feel the same. So I've had Mercs for as long as I've been tournament fishing, and I stuck around with them not just because they had the dealership, but because that was the engine I wanted to run. Look, we raced Mercs when we dealt with the race boats. It was just the engine to have. And I personally feel good that I've stuck by that, and they've still stuck by the tournaments that we do, and it just keeps rolling on. It's only going to get bigger and bigger for them. So, and they've presented lots of opportunities with the Mercury Cup and the trips to Korea we do and bits and pieces like that. AFC, when it was there, they've always put their hand in their pocket to make it as much as what they could. Even when the economic climate wasn't so great, they were still there, and I think this is only going to make it bigger and better for them.
Hey, what about Carl Jochimson? He's an Evinrude user. He might turn into a Merc user too, mate. You might be brothers.
Yeah, well, I know a few little insides there from the last couple of years, and they've been trying to. So it might be the straw that broke the camel's back, hopefully. So I'd love to see him in a Merc, especially for our World Bash Championships hopes. We've got him on the team now for when it is finally run in 2021.
Yeah.
And if we can tie something up with Mercury and Carl at the same time, it's just going to make it all that easier to sort out boats and bits and pieces. So it's all playing into our hands so far, and I can only see good things coming from it.
That's awesome, mate. One last thing I want to talk to you about tonight is your relationship with the naming sponsor of the round that would have been on this weekend, Daiwa. Now, Daiwa's they've come and gone a bit from ABT over the years, but they're in big time at the moment. They've got some good young talent at Daiwa, which respects the fact that ABT anglers are very sponsor specific. They do use Daiwa stuff a lot. Take us through what your ultimate Daiwa outfit would have been for pole and brim out of those racks this weekend. Ignore the fact that you might have fished elsewhere. If you were fishing those bottom racks for donkeys, what would you be using? What would the Daiwa outfit be?
Oh, it's a hard one. I go through so many different rods for this. I reckon there's actually a rod that I use for bass quite a lot. The TD0, it's a 692L, 2 to 5 kilo, with probably a 2,500 sol on it, 10-pound J braid, 12-pound J thread leader.
Yeah.
If I was trying to catch the big ends in the nasty racks, that's probably what I would have tied on. I definitely wouldn't have had that the whole time, because fishing that heavy is probably not the best idea in the super clear water at Foster. But if I was tackling the brawlers and I needed a rod, that's probably the one to do it. It's light enough in the tip we can cast those super light plastics and cranks, but heavy enough down the bottom that you can stop them in their tracks if you need to, or you think you can.
What would the drag be set at from 0 to hero? What would it be at?
Set it stop. It's always at stop. Yeah.
Would it be
if it makes a noise, if it makes a noise, do it up tighter.
Yeah, true. Very cool. Do you use pliers to do that, or you do it by hand?
No, we got plenty of drag. Just squash them down. The washers might not be real flash after it, but that's all right. They still make them.
So long as the brim's in the boat. Now, last time we went to Foster, and we've had a chat to him already tonight, we had Mark Crompton win the event. Fishing racks in a wrap boat, didn't even get a scratch on it. How obscene.
No, he wasn't fishing racks in a rack boat. He was fishing washboards where I wanted to fish the whole time, just up from me, pounding them on cranker crabs. It was really annoying watching it.
Mate, it was magic to come out of to have won a tournament in the lower system and not scratch your boat. That's fairly obscene though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, regardless of if you go to Foster, it's nearly sacrilege not to put a couple of wall wounds on the paintwork or on the glass work. So kudos. And anytime you can win a comp at Foster, you're doing pretty good, because there's a lot of people there that can catch a lot of good fish, and to beat some of the gurus there, like Babs and some of the other boys, he did pretty well.
Happy days, mate. Well, it's good to see that Manning River Marine's doing well. Of course, you welcome anyone watching tonight and any of the ABT members. They can have a chat to you or Jimmy direct. It's good to have that pathway to talk to someone that knows what the hell they're talking about in tournament fishing, isn't it? You've got that expertise on the ground.
Yeah, we try our best. It's good having your finger in a lot of different pies in that respect, with like engines, tackle, marine electronics, the whole kit. We live and breathe it, so it's second nature to us to chat about it. So as soon as that news dropped today, I had 4 or 5 calls about Mercury engines straight away. Mine's going to roll over like yours is very soon. It was actually due to earlier in the year, and COVID happened and it fell through. But I'll probably post that up for sale very soon and roll into a fresh one as well. And yeah, it's just good to have and have the support from Mercury as well to be able to do that.
Well, there you go. There's some news for anyone watching out there that wants to get into a Mercury motor. There's a couple of good secondhand ones going, mate. One for yours is a 225, mine's a 200.
250.
250 yours is it? Okay. Yeah. So if you want the big boy, talk to Kris. If you're less of a man like me, just have a yak to me, and we can get you sorted into the black, as they say. Once you've had black,
you never go back.
Thanks for joining us, Kris.
Cheers, mate.